Hey guys, this is Corey Maselli on the Corey Maselli Show. Got my trustworthy sidekick, Matthias Bergstrom Anderson, holding it down over in Denmark. Today we've got walking, living, breathing strength legend, Bill Gillespie. Bill, you gave me a little bit of a background on your strength training career. You could let the audience know you do a much better job of dropping knowledge than I will. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you for a little bit, and let's hear about your experience as a college and NFL strength coach. Just ad lib, but everything thinks relevant.
All right. I graduated from Liberty University, and I actually went in coaching track and field at first, and I really enjoyed it. And so I have a great background in speed development. Then I had the opportunity to work with my mentor, Dave Williams, who had come from Texas A&M as the head strength coach to Liberty. And he took me under his wing and taught me all about strength training. And this man was light years ahead of the rest of the world in strength training. And it laid a foundation in me to be very creative, very thinking outside the box. Don't just take the standard so-and-so, we're going to do it this way because that's the way everybody else does it. No, we didn't do it that way. We want to know why. And we were more than happy and willing to get under the bar and do the workout ourselves to see what worked and why it worked and when would be the best time to implement it. After working with him in 1991, I left there to go to the University of Washington. Was born and raised in Tacoma, Washington. So this was an opportunity for me to go back home and work at a school that I dreamed of. We won the national championship that first year I was there. And I had the opportunity to go to 3 Rose Bowls and coach some very elite athletes during my 11 years there. After that, I went to the Seattle Seahawks. I got to coach there for 2 years. During each year, we went to the playoffs. I kept telling my wife that the next year could be the year we're going to the Super Bowl. And Liberty made me a really incredible offer to come back to develop a great football program. And I told my wife, I said, man, this could be the year. And she said, you've been saying that for 2 years. And I went to Liberty. And in my 35 years of coaching, I've only had one losing season, and that was that year. And that same year, the Seattle Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, and I lost $213,000 in bonus money because of it.
Yeah, so, there you go. Wow. Crazy.
But I got to coach some really incredible athletes. I've coached, I've coached over 10 football players that are in the NFL Hall of Fame, including Jerry Rice. A little side note, I have the only known autographed football from Jerry Rice's signed autographed football from his last game he ever played in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of my, obviously, but one of my all-time favorites.
I'm going to tell you behind the scenes from the inside scoop on him. Yeah, he's everything you think he is and more. He is incredible. An incredible gentleman, incredible competitor. I watch him on TV doing these commercials and stuff, and I think to myself, I mean, it's a kind of a different side of him that I got to see, because I got to see the competitive side, the attention to every detail that you could imagine.
Yeah, Bill, let me throw this at you. The energy I always perceive from him is just tenacity that is unmatched. Just yeah.
Our general manager told me, he said, we were playing the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football, and he said, Bill, he says, you watch this guy. He says, you're about to see attention to detail like you've never seen before. This guy is Mr. Monday Night Football. And so while I was stretching the players out, I faced where his locker was so I could sit there and watch him prepare for that game. Amazing individual. A gracious man, hardworking. We didn't even keep track of how many times he came to the weight room because he'd come, 3-4 times a day to work out, get done what he needed to get done. The player, here's a really cool thing. The players did not call him Jerry. The players all called him Mr. Rice because of the respect they had for him.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before, actually.
Yeah. They would sit around his locker like grade school children and go and say, Mr. Rice, please tell us another story. I mean, you're talking about superstar, all pro, Hall of Fame athletes sitting there asking Jerry Rice to please tell us another story. They had so much respect for him. And
awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. And it was truly an honor to get to work with him and so many of the other players of that caliber, because that's the thing that I'm a very, very competitive individual. I'm not talented, okay? But neither are
I
a lot of
disagree.
the
I
football
say
players.
competitiveness is a talent, sir.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But when we were in that weight room, there wasn't a day that went by where there wasn't $200 bet on something. Something. I don't care what it was, man. I bet you can't do 30 pull-ups or whatever. Oh yeah, watch this, and they do it. And but that's what people don't always understand is it's that competitive drive that got them to the NFL, not as much as the physical ability got them there, because they developed that physical ability because of their love of the compassion of competing, and they weren't afraid to fail because of it. And so many times, so many gifted athletes are never even coming close to what they're capable of doing because they're either they don't like to compete or they're afraid of failure. And I see it all the time, man. It's frustrating to watch.
Man, to echo what you're saying, like I did a pretty good run. I turned 40, I jumped in to do some powerlifting. I'm an ex-football guy, blah, blah, blah. But people, what's your training program? My training program has to lift more than I did last time. So I don't really care about details or programs. I just like to compete. I want to go. So I think in the strengths, like just in the general fitness world, climate, powerlifting, whatever, people forget that it is a competition. I just thrive in the competitive aspect of it. I didn't care about like the details of how to get there. I really just thrived on being on that platform and being able to like just go balls out and see what I could do. To me, that's the ultimate like aspect of any training program is, are you competitive? So I love what you're saying, man.
I worked with volleyball at the University of Washington, and the volleyball coach was the gold medal winning coach for the men's 84 Olympic Games. All right. And he told me something I thought was really insightful. Bill Neville. He said, the greatest thing about lifting weights is 300 pounds. It's 300 pounds today. And it's going to be 300 pounds tomorrow. If you come in there today and it beats you, 300 pounds didn't have a good day. It didn't have a bad day. All right. But when you looked yourself in the mirror that night and you said to yourself, what do I got to change to beat that 300 pounds? You're learning how to compete. And when you take a team and you take them through a weight program, off-season program, and you teach them how to compete with that weight, then they learn how to compete. My teams, we won like 28 games in the 3 years I was the head strength coach at Washington. 23 of them were fourth quarter come from behind wins.
Wow.
And what was interesting was people would come up to me and say, boy, your team must be so well conditioned because you win all those games in the fourth quarter. And I said, not really. I said, what you need to know is it's not necessarily the best conditioned team that wins in the fourth quarter. It's the team that knows how to compete the best in that wins in the fourth quarter. And
100%, man. Thank you for saying that.
Yes. And a lot of times you learn how to compete and you like it through the conditioning, but you can also learn to be a coward and cut the corners. And when people cut corners, they think they're getting away with something, but in reality, they're learning how not to compete, and they're learning because it's just a subtle difference between greatness and being just good.
Oh yeah, that's cool, man. Man, I think I would have been an awesome athlete for you to coach because I was one of the. Let me give you a little background on like my football numbers, Bill. Now, I was a complete maniac and did a lot of stupid things and made horribly bad decisions. But you would have loved working with me with the weight room. As a college football player, I squatted 900, benched in the mid fives, cleaned 424, had like I think a 33-inch vert, ran a 4.3 short shuttle, ran a 56 or 57-second 300-yard shuttle. But I didn't really know when to pull back ever. I wouldn't pull back. I literally pushed myself to the point where it was counterproductive to my football performance. So,
yeah,
yes. Yeah,
we were talking about that earlier, and it's the same correlation between lifting raw and the shirt bench. People think that the harder you go raw, the more weight you lift raw, the more you're going to lift in the shirt. And if it doesn't transfer to the shirt, you're wasting your time, man. And the same thing in strength training for football players. You can lift yourself right out of the NFL if you don't lift correctly. So, yes, you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah, I just think I had myself wound too tight. I was still, I was pretty much guaranteed like a free agent level thing. Probably not a draft choice. Who knows? But end of my senior season, torched at my patellar tendon. A lot of it probably had to do with like lazy habits of like warming up, range of movement, and all that stuff. Whatever, it is what it is. But moving past that, it kind of sparked a fire in my belly to learn a lot more about performance training. And I did start a performance business based off the lessons I learned coming back from that injury. That you're probably familiar with D1 training. Have you heard of that, Bill?
Oh yeah, of course. We just helped put a weight room in one of their facilities.
I was the original founder and architect of that company and sold my rights to an investment group owned by Peyton Manning back in 2006 or 7. Just FYI. So I had a heck of a run with it, man. It was pretty cool.
And that's one you should have held on to.
Yeah, it was the perfect thing to do because that's what.
Oh, good.
Is what it is. But yeah, I really think, man, I think you would have loved coaching me as an athlete. I would have sucked because you're the kind of guy I would have just absolutely like I would have bled for, man.
But there are strength coaches out there who try to tell me that once a guy squats 500 pounds, they don't need to squat anymore. And I'm like, dude, I got guys who can breathe weight room air and squat 500 pounds and don't do any training. I said,
exactly.
I said, you don't get, but what was funny was the guy who told me that said, I've only had 2 players do that. And both of them went to the NFL. And I kind of looked at him like, kind of funny, like, dude, are you trying to make an argument for you or for me? That don't make no sense. But, I understand about squatting too heavy if it doesn't transfer. But I believe in being strong, man. You got to be strong. Louis said this. Why does a man run faster than a woman? Because they're stronger. That's it. You know?
Absolutely.
And, yeah. It's about force application to the ground. So you got to be strong. Now, yes, I joke about this. This is a true story. I was with the Seahawks. I was a year older than Jerry Rice, and I'm benching 800 pounds in competition. Sean Alexander and Heath Evans comes up to me one day and said, Coach, we need you to play this Sunday. And I said, knock it off. Stop making fun of me. They said, no, serious, Coach. Our nose guard's in a wheelchair, and we need you to play. You're the same size as he is, but you bench a lot more. You bench 800 pounds. Surely you'd be good at it. I said, oh, man, guys, come on. It's been 20 years since I played football. They said, Coach, we only need you to play 3 or 4 plays. I said, in a row? And, they said, all you got to do is grab a hold of 2 guys and hold on. And I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Ain't no way. They said, we're going to go up to Coach Holgram and ask him if you could play this Sunday. Well, even though I benched 800 pounds, Coach Holgram never came down to ask me to play. So there's more to being a great football player than just bench pressing a lot of weight. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit more. Understood. Yeah. Man, it's tell us some like the absolutely most brutally strong players you've ever seen, like wherever, college, NFL, whatever the case is. Who are some of the athletes that stand out as being just the absolute most wickedly like strong guys that you can remember.
All right. Do you remember Bob Sapp, the Beast?
Absolutely.
I coached Bob. Bob came in. He looked like a 32-year-old freshman when he walked in. He was so strong, so incredibly strong. This is true story. He got in a fight 2 times on the football field. He reaches up, grabs his own face mask, rips his face mask off of his helmet, and says, "You want to fight?" And the guy was like, "No, Bob, man, it's
no
cool."
Thanks. Oh, wow.
One time you might say, well, yeah, the fasteners weren't right. 2 times, the dude was brutally strong, man. He was so strong. And when he put up a PR, he'd go around giving high fives. I'm like, I ain't giving him no high five. That sucker separate my shoulder just from doing a high five. Him and I were training partners together after he was done, and he was so strong. We were doing seated dumbbell clean and presses one day, and which I'm not very good at. And he took 110-pound dumbbells from a seated position, cleaned them and pressed them out 8 times like they were like 15-pound dumbbells. And he goes,
great.
Yeah, he looked at me and he goes, "Your turn." And I went, "You got me kidding." I did 4 max singles. I didn't do a set of 4. I did 4 max singles. And I said, "That's it. I'm done. I ain't doing that. No, I can't do that." And he was just, he ripped me on that one. But he was so incredibly strong. Just truly one of the strongest players I've ever coached. But I had the opportunity to coach several guys that just naturally so strong, so fast, just could do some amazing things. And it's pretty amazing when you get around them what these guys are capable of doing. This isn't about strength training, just on their athletic ability.
Right.
But we went with the Seahawks. We went bowling. I'm not a great bowler, but I can bowl a 160. I said,
Just
okay,
like
I'm
me.
not going I'm not going to embarrass myself. So I go bowling, and they got us in groups of 4, and I'm with an offensive guard who's 6'8", 340, Jerry Wanch. I'm with our punter and another guy, and our punter goes, "Coach, watch this." And he goes up with his bowling ball, throws it between his legs, and makes a strike. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm getting up. Is this like a practical joke on me? And he goes, no, coach, watch this. From behind the back, throws that thing down there, strike. I mean, not just once or twice, over and over and over again. I'm like, what did I get myself into? These guys, and what people don't always understand, yes, they're tall. Yes, they're strong and powerful, but they're incredibly athletic. They can do things that just amazes you. And it was incredible to be around them and just to see athleticism at a whole nother level. And I'm gonna tell on Sean Alexander. Sean never lifted weights ever. But you know why? Was because every time he lifted, the strength coach, he would never lift very heavy. So the strength coach would have him do high reps. And Sean recognized that he was losing his athletic ability because he was lifting incorrectly. And so he says, "I'm not doing it." He goes, he's super athletic, more than anybody I probably have ever met in my life. And he came to me after my first year and said, "Coach, I've watched the way you train guys, and you do it differently than I've ever seen before." And he says, "I will have you coach me personally, one-on-one, and I'll pay you $10,000 to be my personal strength coach." Well, we had hired a new head strength coach during the off season, and he wasn't going to allow us to have personal training with the players. So I told him, I said I wasn't going to be able to do that, but I would talk to him about taking care of him. And Sean, we made some adjustments to Sean's program, and Sean came in and he did lift, but he never lifted anything very heavy. I mean, he did a triple on the clean one day with 188 pounds, something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's good, Sean. You want to go up? He goes, oh no, And but he set the NFL record for touchdowns that year. And the key was this: he's athletic, but all I needed to do was make him a little bit stronger. And
a little more snap or whatever.
Yeah, and that's all he needed. And the next year he was MVP of the league. But he never, he never put up huge numbers, but he got the Don James at University of Washington. He's the mentor to Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. He was our head football coach there. And he said this: he said, I'm going to recruit great football players. I just need you guys to make them stronger and faster than what they were. And he required them to get new personal records every time they came in the test. They weren't allowed to just stay the same. And that forced an environment of competition, and the players got better and played better because of it. So that's where I kind of learned the whole philosophy that you don't have to be put up big numbers. You just have to get stronger than what you were. That athletic ability is foundational to success in athletics,
Right. Hey, I got I'm gonna throw a name out there for you. Hollis Thomas. Does that name ring a bell?
Who?
Hollis Thomas.
College?
Hollis, Hollis, Thomas, last name Thomas. He's an NFL veteran, played nose guard for 15 years.
Oh, no, I don't know. No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, phenomenal D-line. You saw him play, might ring a bell, whatever the case is. I played college football with Hollis. As I recall, his best bench press as a college player was like 480, 485. His best bench press as an NFL player was like 600 or 610. He tried to get, his goal was to get a little bit stronger every season. Whatever he had done the summer prior, he just tried to notch it up a little bit. And that son of a gun kept getting stronger, playing one of the most, as you well know, one of the most brutal positions on the field. Great guy, man. You love him. He's a really cool, great person all the way around, and probably the shortest all-pro D lineman that the NFL has seen in a while. He might, if he's over 6 feet tall, I'd be surprised. But he is a baller, and he can play football. I used to go head-to-head with practice every day, and I knew this cat was going to be in the NFL. I didn't give a crap. He was 5'8". He was just that good of a player. So I'll tell you what, this is about the time we should wrap up our first segment. Matthias, were you about at that time?
Yeah, I think you might as well just do it now.
Yeah, and I'd like to get in, talk about your recent world record that you set, which is absolutely astonishing to me. So we take a quick break. This is the Corey Maselli Show, Squat Life or No Life. We got walking strength legend Bill Gillespie here. We'll be back in just a minute.